Take two, gods of Clear Dark Sky. Welcome to Clear Dark Sky. Clear Dark Sky is an app that's going to help you know about cloud cover. If you do telescopes, you will also learn about seeing and transparency, but we're not going to go into that today. As you saw in my pre-show video, you probably noticed my 2-minute tip about Clear Dark Sky, and it is basically a thing that works only for a few locations in the world. Here, the clear sky charts are collected in Canada, USA, Mexico, and Bahamas. Someone in the group, Aaron Laurencio says, sound is back, Earl points out. Aaron needs a vibrating necklace so that we can alert him to tech issues. Are you kidding, Rhonda? If I turned on a vibrating necklace where you had access, it would be at any time during any moment in my live stream, you would hit that button just because you'd love to see me react. So, someone, please hold. I still have no sound on YouTube, Thomas says. Make sure you refresh your page if you are looking for sound. Of course, I just said that audio with my voice, so you probably don't know I said that. This is a map of the United States, and we need to pick a state. I want a state that's not California, not Utah, and not Oregon. Those are the three places I go a lot. So someone hit me up with a state, and I'm going to show you how your map works in your state. I have 56 seconds to do it. Just downloaded Medio, Kathy says. Awesome. Refreshing now. Thomas is refreshing. Okay, hopefully his sound is working back. So someone hit me up with a state. I was pulling up Nebraska before you warned me all that the sound was gone. And in here you can see in Nebraska that right there, all of these pins are stations that are receiving data in Nebraska. And these colors are actually Bortle scale colors, from really, really bright red all the way down to the dark locations that are a dark black, blue, green. That's going towards the lower Bortle scales from 3, 1, 2, 3, 0 that are nice and dark. And obviously you can see that right around Lincoln, no surprise, it's really bright. But up here, it's not. Oh no, I'm going into 5 seconds left. Illinois, Kentucky, Florida, Idaho. Let's do Illinois. There's so many of you from Illinois. Oh, my alarm's going off. Okay. I'm breaking it. I got 1 more minute. I'm going to start this 5 minutes again just because I want to have 1 more minute. We are going to do Illinois just because that is a busy state, a bright state. Where is it going to work for you to do any photography in Illinois? If you don't go to lightpollutionmap.info, how would you know? Just from this map, you can see already that by Quincy over here, Weinberg King State Park is one of the darker locations, at least where a weather station is. So using the map, you can see all of this. You can see all the pins where they're brightest and crazy impossible around Chicago. And then you come out here to Weinberg King State Park. You click on that, and you click on the link to open up the actual data. And this right here, can I make it even bigger and then scroll over right and left? Yeah, let's do that. This is what you are faced with. I have 10 seconds. This is going to give you information about cloud cover on the top row. Then there's transparency and seeing. Won't go into that. The darkness is the moon and sun. So see how it's getting dark through twilight period? There's no moon rising right now, but when the moon does rise, you'll see these sections getting brighter. And up here, there are no good blue squares until Saturday. So right now it's cloudy in Illinois over Weinberg King State Park, and all of these would be bad. The one thing I want to show you before we go is that from here to here is 24-hour clock. So here starts in 0 on Thursday all the way to the 24-hour clock on Thursday, and this red line shows a new day. So you want to go out Friday night. Friday night is going to go into Saturday morning when it's actually got the Milky Way core coming up above the horizon, and so you're thinking around 4 a.m. And I'm going to click on that square where it says 4 on cloud cover, that top row. And it's going to open up another map that shows you where it's getting its information. The color comes thanks to this map. Where that pixel is it dark blue, or does it have a gradient towards white and have a little bit lighter blue, lighter blue, lighter blue, to a light blue color, to a white, and then a gray color, and then a pure white color? You know, looking at the sky, it's really great here, but not in Texas, not down here in Louisiana, but it's great in Illinois, and the Dakotas and Nebraska is pretty great up on that top corner. So this is what the data is predicting is going to happen Saturday at that hour. You're going to want to come back and check this regularly. Okay, shh, Aaron, no more. We are not talking about this map anymore. All right, lightpollutionmap.info. And I'm going to start a new timer for this and have the full 5 minutes. Okay, cool. Here we go. I got hit up with a bunch of states. Thank you so much. Those of you who are on the East Coast, lightpollutionmap.info will slap you in the face with why you need to move out here, like Rhonda, and join us in the dark sky locations of the Earth. We love it in the West. This map is the most accurate for light pollution. When you go down to Utah and go to Moab, it shows how Moab has really gotten bright. It really has. This secondary blob here, I don't know if it's trying to say that those potash ponds are causing that light pollution, or if this is just a glitch kind of mirroring the Moab brightness. But this Moab brightness does stretch into arches now, and it's going to cause some problem when you're looking south, and you will see some light pollution. So when you're trying to plan your location to go, figure out where the dark sky locations are. One of the other states, Georgia. Let's go to Georgia. And it looks like you, SM Wilkes, you could choose a location down here in the Okefenokee National Wildlife Refuge, which I'm sure you already figured that was crazy dark. But where would you want to go? Dead center? Or do you want to go up to the top? In the south is the Milky Way. At this time of year, it's the east to the south. Then later in the year, it's vertical, and it's always in the south. Then at the end of the year, it's southwest. And that is going to mean that you could have the best possible dark sky here on this section, looking out over the largest stretch of dark before the Milky Way. And then as the season goes on, up here is going to be the best, as the largest stretch of Okefenokee has the Milky Way. Between you and this tiny town that's giving some light, you're not going to have much getting in your frame. So picture it this way. I have 3 minutes. When you are standing here, let's say you're standing here with all this light pollution of St. George, Hillard, and other areas. Even though you're standing, let me click again. When you click on this map, it gives you some Bortle scale, and this is going to say Bortle's class 3. In fact, let me just open that up so you can see the Bortle scale and how it works. 1 is really dark, excellent dark, average dark, and then rural sky is 3. Green is still good. But once you get into the yellows towards red, orange, and white, it is useless. So you're going to want to be in Bortle scale 4 or greater, meaning greater is 1. Great is the best at 1, so we want to get up there. That's the Bortle scale that the light pollution map is using, and this location right here is a class 3. So what was that? Was that rural? That was rural. Rural sky. That's rural juror. So this is a location that's great right above you, but the positioning that you are to St. George, you can still be in a 3 right here. Oh man, that's so picky. There is a 3. There is a 3. From this position, let's imagine that this iPad is my frame, and this iPad pencil is the light pollution. On my frame, if I am this close, the light pollution might be stretching up this high in my frame. And as I pull backwards and go from, here all the way into Okefenokee, I'm taking that light pollution bloom and shrinking it on my frame till it's lower and lower and lower and lower away. So this is one way to think about the light pollution in the seasons. If you go in the beginning of the year, you don't want to hang out right here looking directly east over the worst of Jacksonville, Florida to get your Milky Way. You want to get over on this end looking out over the stretch of dark, and at the summertime you want to be up here looking south, and at the fall you want to be over here looking through the darkest stretch. I have 1 minute. Woo! I'm going to make some time up. So northeast corner of Georgia, not bad for light pollution. Absolutely not. Let's pull back and see. And so northeast corner of Georgia, here it is up towards South Carolina. Look at that stretch all around Evans. You have lots of opportunity. You could be on, the coastline right here in Goose Creek and standing on Sullivan's Island and looking out in the east over the darkness of the ocean and see the Milky Way. That's why you see Milky Ways over the ocean all the time, because it works, because in front of you and between you and the Milky Way is a dark, dark sky. So that is the last app that we're going to talk about on the website. The rest of this will have ad-free, and it will be coming from my phone. So let's go ahead and get into number 3, as well as allow the chat to be right here the whole time, and you can see what I am following. In fact, let me pull up the chat for myself. right here. Oh, my alarm's going off. Good. We are moved on. I'm starting my timer for the next app, which is SOL. Okay, I should not use it as an acronym. That's not what it is. It's SOL. It's SOL, the name of our star, not SOL. So this app is right here on my phone. You can see it. That's the graphic. If you're looking for an iPhone, you will see that graphic as your app icon. The Android version might be a little different, but I doubt it. Unless it's required to, I doubt it. This will be the app. And Sol app is going to help you get twilight periods, sunset, and sunrise easy. I love it. You don't need cell signal. You just need to be on location. And I haven't seen any screams about the or about the sound, so that is really good news. And I'm going to change this chat to being a live chat. I thought I had this thing on always on top. Always on top. Okay, now it's always on top. Sweet. So now I can see the chat while also you see the app, and I can see what's going on over here. Hey, John Henry Maurice, you're late, but you're here. So was I, so no worries, JHM. And any questions come up. Nevada Tube, Aaron, I need an app that makes Starlink satellites go away. Any suggestions? Yeah, 1 week. They will go away mostly after they're done being launched. Just give them a week to get into their true orbit, and then they are hard to see. The Starlink satellites that are like thousands of tissues burning through the sky, those are, I say tissues because my desk is covered in tissues. Cold season, blah, blah, blah. Those are bad right after they've been launched and they're getting into orbit. But beyond that, you're going to be fine. Okay, double checking, no more questions. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thomas says, hey, when I'm out shooting, I'm usually SOL due to weather. That's what I was thinking when I said that too, Tom. So, excuse me. So this app, which I have 2 minutes and 58 seconds to talk about, is just quickly going to tell you the exact timing of important milestones in your light. From right now, because it is 7:10. No, what time is it right now? The time right now is, if I do that, it's going to show me that. Okay, this is going. Time is, it's not showing me. 7:38. I just didn't want to see a bunch of my notifications and have everyone read all my notifications. So 7:38 right now. It is astronomical dusk in my current location, Provo, Utah. When you choose a different location, you can just tap on that Provo, Utah and tell it, I want to be somewhere else. Well, instead of somewhere else, I'm going to use this location and see when does it become fully dark. 7:41. And then it jumps to solar midnight, and then it jumps all the way to dawn. So if I want to get ready to go out tomorrow morning before it gets lit, I want to go before 5:37 a.m. And what if I'm just planning for a sunrise? I go through all these twilight periods, see that right here is sunrise at 7:08, and then I tap that arrow again, and it says the golden hour has ended at 8:07 a.m. So without cell signal, just depending on where I'm at, I can see these twilight periods fast. I have Planit, I have PhotoPills, and I still use Sol because it helps me just have nothing I have to think about. Like, oh, wait, what is it? I mean, I could be driving, tap that as I'm driving, go, oh, that's when sunset is. Okay. And it's safe, it's quick, it's easy to use. Easy to use. All right, so how are we doing on time? And 1:20. I'm gaining time. Woohoo! Let's start another 5-minute timer, and let's get into the next app, Clear Outside. Now, there is a .com for Clear Outside. Clear Outside is just like Clear Dark Sky, but what happens on Clear Outside is you have an app that you can use, and the information, while pretty decent, I would say it's most often correct. It's going to be for everywhere in the world, and it's taking the data and extrapolating from the data that's out there from the weather stations and saying this is what's going to happen for, you've got total cloud, then the low cloud elevation, medium elevation clouds, high elevation clouds. I love that it breaks that out. It even adds the International Space Station based on your location. This is Devon, UK, but if I go down here and tap current location, it's going to give me this information for Provo. And this is going to be, Thomas points out that SOL or Sol is Apple only. So it's not going to be available for you Android users. Sorry about that. That's one thing that I can't give you because I don't have experience with an Android device, except for when I worked in the game industry and we made apps for both Android and iPhone, but I never used an Android, and I won't be using it for all these apps. So hopefully most of you are Apple users, or most of these apps will translate. People like Thomas, you can help me out. Let's go through the apps and let me know which ones don't work for our Android users. So Clear Outside, it's just like Clear Dark Sky, where blue is good and white is bad. As you look up here on the time, it'll actually give you a red, orange, and green on whether it is a good hour. It doesn't just say the hours, it also gives you its judgment on those hours. And looking through all of Thursday into Friday, it doesn't start to get good until Friday here. And it has 1 hour good, where it's only 13% total cloud coverage. But at 5, 6, 7, 9, or 10, I'm saying this wrong, 8 and 9 and 10, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, this is 0 cloud cover. So it's going to get really spectacular. I have good Orion opportunity right here with just 3% cloud cover, hopefully not over my Orion. But then as I go into midnight, into the morning, man, they're predicting nothing Friday morning. So it is a clear sky all the way through the sunlight. Right here, it starts getting bright. This is the twilight period. And so it's showing me this is going to be brilliant. This is going to be absolutely brilliant. However, looks like the moon starts to rise. When does it rise? 3:27 on the Saturday the 26th. And the moon rose at 3:27 here and 4:33 there. Okay, so as I'm looking at Saturday morning, it says the moon will rise at 4:33 a.m. and set at 1:35. So that is going to be part of this dark time where the moon will rise on me. So I have my best opportunity from 3 to 4:30 that I'll have a moonless sky, dark and brilliant, and no clouds. And there's an International Space Station flyover that repeats an hour and a half later right there. So this is so great. I like using Clear Outside and Clear Dark Sky in tandem so that I can check them against each other. Whew, I'm ahead of schedule right now. I didn't keep through to 5 minutes on everything because of our initial audio issue, but so far so good. And James Baker points out that Sol is $4.99. So it's not free, but it is nice to have if you're interested in it. I have none of the commission for any of these apps, by the way. I'm not sponsored by any of them, and I stand to gain 0. If you get it and use them, matters not. So just use what you like from these tips just to get you ready for your season. And Clear Outside, the last thing I'm going to use for the final minute of Clear Outside is that there's no app for Clear Dark Sky, but there is this one right here, My CSC. This is an app that's a third-party app that uses the Clear Dark Sky maps, and it lets you choose a location. Like I have Waldport, Oregon, Brookings, Goblin Valley State Park, Boulder, Utah, and Crater Lake. These are the places that I like to know, and I change this all the time. When I have an Oregon workshop, I add more Oregon. When I'm in Utah more, I have Escalante and Zion and Moab on here. So this is saying in quick, hey, look, Waldport's bad, but Brookings is great. So up north Waldport by Thor's Well, that is going to be cloudy in the afternoon, but Brookings is great all day long. So if I was on the Oregon coast, I could see quickly, okay, I'm going to stay down in the south, and it looks great. Oh, and Crater Lake looks brilliant as well. And then if I'm in Utah, I go, Goblin Valley towards Moab is not great tonight, but tomorrow night. And I can even click on that and see the detailed chart, which will be on its side for you guys. But this is the same chart you saw on the website. And so that is the same thing. Blue is good, white is bad. My alarm is going off. We must move on. Let's go to app number 5, Dark Sky. This is a weather app. Oh, I need to start this new timer. And, my watch does not realize I'm saying done. We're good. Okay. This is Dark Sky. Dark Sky is a weather app that is, when you're on location, the most useful. When you're there in person, use Dark Sky. It gives you some estimates that I've experienced some success where it's like brilliantly accurate, and some other ones that is just, it said it was going to be perfect and it's just terrible. In fact, James Baker and I were out in Salt Flats, and it said it was going to get good, and we're sitting there thinking, this sky has clouds. Let me show you what dark sky looks like while I tell a story. This sky has so many clouds, thin clouds that form just before the sunset. They weren't good enough to make the sunset amazing, but it was There was some color that was nice, but I wish they'd go away. Maybe as the temperature drops, they'll go away. So we're waiting and hoping, and then, like it said, be patient. The exact hour that it said it was going to be, because you can look over here and see how it says now it's overcast. By 11 p.m. it's going to recede from overcast all the way down to mostly cloudy. And then by 11 a.m. it's overcast again. And you can see the 24-hour period from now until 5 p.m. tomorrow night. And it shows my location. I can go on a map and then choose a different location, but I really just use the forecast for the current location that I am standing in. And if you want to change this from showing temperatures, I can say, what does it feel like Fahrenheit? Well, that's actually 19, even though technically it was 20. Precipitation probability percentage, if that's what you want to see here, as well as wind. I can go over to wind down here and choose, okay, the windiest time of the night is about 11 a.m. in the morning, and 3 a.m. at night is going to be windy from the north heading south east. Okay, all right. So it gives me directional wind, and it gives me the amount of speed that the wind is coming in at. So it's got some good information. I keep it on the temperature one typically, but if I'm in an area where I'm really frustrated by the clouds, I'll switch over by the clouds to see, okay, how much is mostly cloudy? Is mostly cloudy going to be 85 all night long? Looks like at around 5 a.m. it's about 50-50. And James says that was a great night that night. Oh, it was. If only we had more water for that salt flats reflection, man. Viet Win, Aaron, sorry I'm late. No worries, Viet. I was late, so no one needs to ever apologize, but welcome back. Welcome in. Kapua says dark sky, iPhone only. Yeah, iPhone, Apple did buy dark sky, so this is another very heavily biased iPhone message. And, I will not apologize for being an iPhone user, but I am sorry that I don't also have experience with an Android phone to give you these comparisons. So anyone who has a good option alternate that you can point out, please do. All right, so that's dark sky. Let's just go ahead and borrow some time from dark sky and go into our app number 6. App number 6 is Windy, another weather app. Start that timer. Windy is this red icon. I haven't showed the other ones, but we were in My CSC, Clear Outside, Dark Sky, Soul, and down here below. Oh, yeah, the first two are websites, Clear Outside, Dark. Okay, that's it. All right. The red app is Windy. And this is a fantastic weather app. It's interesting, the graphics that it has for it. It's a bit confusing at first blush, honestly. You're like, okay, I get that the wind is going in that direction and that it's also going to be cold by the color, but what about this information? How do I get some specifics? Let me go to a place that I absolutely love, the Faroe Islands. Oh, is it really hot up there at the Faroe Islands by Iceland? No. The colors aren't the temperature. The colors are the wind. The colors are letting you know that the wind is crazy. And when we've seen this kind of wind over the Faroe Islands, you stay in Copenhagen. Look at this wind going underneath Voyeur. And the island that you want to land on is right here, and it's calm. And between Copenhagen, Iceland, you can get in there through the calm, but maybe they won't go because of that high wind between Lerwick, Shetland, up to Faroe Islands. That might be something that's risky. And so this is a pretty heavy wind right now, and it's swirling around and getting calm at the north end of Tórshavn. So where Kathy and Rhonda and I stayed in Viareia, that is nice and calm. And if we were in the Faroe Islands right now, we'd be thinking, okay, we're not going to go down to Tórshavn because it's getting extra windy and most likely cold. But what if we did go to Siradal? That time lapse that I showed you is Siradal right here. What if I wanted to go there? What's it like? I'm going to put my finger down at the location I was standing by this river. Hint, hint. And I'm going to get some information from this spot. And what happens is, now that I've chosen that spot, in fact, no, it just kind of gave me information. Come on, permanently move the pin there. All right. So then I tap here. You see up top here, oh, go away. I put my tap down, hold it down, and I have a marker. and now it's pulling in Milium Scorini Ciradal. So now it's pulled in the information from that because I held it down long enough, and it's giving me prediction weather for the next few days as well as precipitation. But I wanted to show you a different element. So I'm going to hit the X right here and close that, and there is an overlay that happens. So when I tap right there, I got this wind knots at that spot, and there's a white dot that you probably can barely see. And as I move that map around, this is going to update. Let's say that I moved that white dot to be down by Torsion. Okay, the knots of the wind are speeding up, speeding up. All the way out here, it's 27 knots. Not the worst, not the worst. Where was it worst? How about down here? Only 24 actually. So that is updating where that white pin is, and now you can see it over this color, by the way. That's nice. So it's updating as you're going through. And so what you use with this is you can change that caret right there to give you different information. Oh, you hit the caret, it opens up down below, but I'm going to hit the X and I'm going to change down here. You see this extra menu and also that. I'm going to tap the cloud first. Weather radar and satellite, that's what it's showing. If I hit the menu option, now I have some overlays. What if I don't want rain, but I want clouds? Let's tap on clouds, and I want to do visibility. Let's do low clouds, or talk about fog, or just all clouds. Let's do all clouds and zoom out. So now it's assessing all the clouds and the cloud cover around Torsion. Where it's yellow, there are no clouds. Where it's white and blue, there's precipitation at the blue, but white are clouds that are coming through. And then the overlay graphic, you can kind of see this part right here where it's got dots. I think that's declaring snow, but I honestly don't even know. It's over here to my location in Utah. Oh yeah, very cloudy here. And precipitation. Okay, this is definite snow now. I can confirm because it's been snowing here all day. So this area in Provo, I'm going to put my finger down on this spot. Now a white marker has revealed itself, and I tap out and I have my white dot. At this point, my cloud overlay is saying 99% overcast. And as I move this around to maybe past Eureka, I'm hitting 99%. Okay, let's back out. Where does it not have a lot of clouds? Right here. Oh, 75. Oh, my alarm just went off. So windy is critical that you have the white dot over where you want it, and it shows you this graphical wind lines as they're swimming through the air. Fantastic. I love this app. It's very accurate. I will use this in tandem with other apps, as you see up here, Wonderground, WeatherBug, just other apps that I need to know for sure that I have the information correct. You always want to use this information in tandem with another app so that you got two witnesses or more emphasizing what is accurate and what's going on. All right, let's go to app number 7, My Radar Pro. One of the apps that I match up with is specifically when I'm on location. I never use this when I'm not on location. This is one of those on location only apps. So if I was in Moab, in fact, I was in Moab with Mary Beth Kaczynski, and we were looking at the clouds like this, and you can see how the transfer of clouds is happening over a few hours. You can see down here, it's repeating the transition from somewhere around 6 to late 7:45, 6:20 to 7:45, and it's giving me the animation of this timeline. If I go down below, I can change the overlays, and I can choose a different map, or I can say I want clouds on, but I also want to get winds, and add that in there. Okay. And so as long as I have cell signal, this is useful. I need to have cell signal for this app to be useful. You can see how the winds are curling around. What if I was over, let's see, let's go down from Green River, go into Hanksville. I need to see better so I can know I'm at Factory Butte. Here's Hanksville. Let's change this overlay to be a classic map. Or I want it to be, let's do the high def one, which I think is what we were on, but I want to see a actual satellite image. I got gray, roads, and aerial that I can choose from, or I can subscribe to aviation charts, or I can be a star citizen and see. I'm not even certain what those are. But here's Mars if I want that Mars map. So right here I'm going to click aerial. I want to see the satellite view so I can recognize the rock that is Factory Butte. And I want to see how the wind is going around Factory Butte. So as I'm zooming in, and then starting to recognize the terrain. Let's get back down to Hanksville and go over. And Loa is too far because Capitol Reef was right below here. Man, this satellite view is interesting. I mean, aerial view is interesting. It is actually tough to recognize Factory Butte, which normally is easy. I am struggling at identifying the one rock that is Factory Butte. Coming off of Hanksville is this river, and Caneville. Okay, went too far. There we go. Now I'm recognizing the rocks. Factory Butte right here. So now I want to see how the wind is around Factory Butte in particular. I want to see, all right, if I'm out there and I go out to the edge of these cliffs, would I just be miserably beat down? And it's showing that currently the winds are pretty strong. It's 31 degrees. What is the mile per hour for the winds, though? I'm going to put my finger down and actually choose this location. So let's go ahead and give me some more information. Let's get another layer here, and I got winds already turned on. Where am I going to see the actual miles per hour of the winds? I'm not seeing them. Let's pull this down. So this menu up top here, you have a little bar right there. You can pull it down, and then it'll give me the wind speed. I never use this app for wind speed. I'm always go to Windy and check it out, because if I have signal to use this app, I have signal to use Windy, and I will have that information updated, and it'll give me that speed. So let's check out and see what it is. This is a 5-day forecast, the precipitation specifically. Here's the overcast, here's the temperature and the precipitation percentage. If I tap on the wind speed is 9 miles per hour, 8 miles per hour, but these are all the averages for those days. The details, the current northwest wind was 23 miles per hour right now. Yikes. The gusts of 43 miles per hour. So that's pretty intense out there in Teasdale area. So then how are we doing on time? I think I'm going to call it on this app. That's just simply if you have internet, use that app. It's good. Now we're going to go into Sky Guide, another one that is only for Apple, unfortunately. Someone confirmed that earlier that Sky Guide was only for Apple. This is my app for checking out the stars. If I want to see the stars and show off, like, what are we looking at up there? This is one of those augmented reality ones where if I was standing outside and could see, I'd be looking at the northern band of the Milky Way. I'd see Cassiopeia up there, and I'd be looking at that part of the Milky Way band. Where is Orion right now? There it is. Orion's up there at zenith, directly south right now. You can look right here. Here's south, and it's literally directly south. And you go over, you got the Seagull Nebula coming off of Sirius right there. And now, if I wanted to, I can zoom in on these features. And I don't have to deal with, okay, I'm looking in the south, but let's just take control. The compass is off now. And I want to see different parts of this sky. So I'm scrolling around south and zooming in on Sirius. And I'm going to go up here to the Seagull Nebula. One thing that makes Sky Guide stand out versus other apps like this that are, augmented reality, showing you where you are based on your gyroscope and your location GPS, is that the images on Sky Guide are actual photography. It's the best view of the Milky Way core that you can get, as it's been stitched together from hundreds and hundreds of images. And so when you zoom in, it won't let me go any deeper than that. Why? Can I just see the Milky Way, please? There we go. Zoom in. That's where the moon is right now, right on this section. Remember what this section is? I know some of you do know this, but first one to say it. This section is my favorite tip. If you see Antares, or this name of this complex, what is this going to tell you about the core? I want to see who answers that first. But this core, this picture of the core, is actual photography of the core and stitched together with many others. And so this is a gorgeous, gorgeous looking app. So if you wanted to show someone what the night sky looks like when you're taking pictures, it's like you've got an active panorama of the entire hemisphere of the sky, and you're going to zoom in on each one with actual imagery. That is actual imagery of the moon. It's not just a picture, a drawing. actual photo of the moon, representing the moon there. And who's going to say it first? The rake. Kathy knows my tip for, like, I just call it the rake real fast. It's the rake, and it is the what complex. Kirk says, just in case, you can see Milky Way Photographer's top apps for planning night photography. Yes, we can remind everyone of that real quick. Let me jump over to list number 1. If you go to milkywayphotographers.com, there is a link that Kirk just hooked us up with in the chat that has a list of useful apps. And let's go ahead and always on top change to that so I can change it out. Best landscape photography apps for 2021. This article right here. Let me zoom in so that you can see what I'm talking about. This article right here is a good read. If you want to come over to milkywayphotographers.com, check this out and read the article with all the recommended apps from our writers over on milkywayphotographers.com. So if you need anything for landscape and you want to check that out, please do. All right, let's go back down to where we were. We were on My Radar Pro. Nope, Sky Guide. Sky Guide. And let's bring this app back to being always on top. Perfect. So now you can see the who said it. I think I saw it. Yes, Chris Whiting, the Rho Ophiuchi complex. And Phil had the right answer for in 1 hour, the Milky Way core will be where Antares is. Yes. Brilliant. You guys are remembering. You guys remember my favorite tip. And Kapua was right with the galactic core. Yeah, 1 hour for Bob. 1 hour. You guys were all on the right page. Yes. And Fred said Rho. And yes, he's correct. The rake, 1 hour. Mark McMillan actually said 1 hour right after Kathy. So perfect. Perfect. You guys remember. So Sky Guide is a brilliant looking app. One where you can tell where you are. Look up. Where's that Milky Way? Over there. That's where the Milky Way is. Between those trees? Okay. So when it gets to this dark, let me show you. If you tap on the clock up here, you just hit 8:02. You can actually change the time. You can go forward by 10, 100. All right. In an hour, where's the Milky Way going to be? At 9:10. And then you can see, okay, that's where it is. Perfect. Okay, gotcha. And it stays based on my location. Based on my location with my hand, it stays there, but it also will stay at 9:10, and I can go forward. Looking this location, what will be there? Oh, Sirius. Boom. Okay, my clock is going off. I have spent my 5 minutes. Let's get going into my tracks. Now we're dealing with an app that is specific for those of you who are going to be daring and go to a location, and sometimes you go there in the day and you have an easy path hiking out to your location. You get a good Milky Way, and then you turn around, you gotta drive back or walk back to your car and go, It was easy when I could see this in the light, but now I'm kind of going, I'll just basically go that direction. My Tracks is a free app, and there is a version for Android that you can get. There's several versions called My Tracks, but this purple one where it's my lowercase and then tracks with a capital T and a purple icon on an iPhone, this is the free one that I'm showing off today. There's options like Gaia GPS and all trails that allow you to do this GPS kind of tracking, not to mention just Google Maps will do it. If you use the Google Maps on your Pixel or something, you have the option to record your track. So for instance, I recorded a track recently on a hike, and let's go to that most recent one. This is a hike that Mary Beth and I did up to Skyline Arch. Nope, not that one. Let's do Delicate Arch hike. This is the hike that we did for Delicate Arch. This is a simple map. It's not showing me a satellite map. It's just showing me this, simple one with the green where the national park is, and the whole map is green. This is a choice that you can make. I can go down to the options and say, I want to see, where is it actually? I haven't changed it forever, because what I use this for is for situations when I am trying to track my location. I don't want satellite imagery. I typically don't have cell signal, and I can still use this to track my location. What happens is I will go to my car and make sure I hit, okay, start recording. And I start recording, and I start wandering around. Well, let's go back to my map that I just opened up. In fact, let's stop recording because I don't want to record from here. And let's go back to my Delicate Arch hike with Mary Beth. So here, and Moab, this is the parking space that we started in. Notice how I went out and back and then out. Forgot something at the vehicle. Went off, went, oh no, we need this. Went back to the vehicle and then continued on the trail. And this is our wandering. And as I came back from Delicate Arch with Mary Beth, there's those sections that you're like, okay, man, is this the right path? Let me open up another one, the hike right after it. These are all my other hikes that I've saved. This one right here, same night, but 8:15. I'm going to open that one up. And now you can see this map on the way back. I want to see both of them. And usually you can't open up two at the same time, but you can open up one, start recording, and see a secondary color showing you walking, and you can see when you veer off course. You're like, oh, I kind of went more to the left on my way here, so I'll just follow that line in the dark. And you can keep looking at your phone, hike, walk, look at your phone, double check, course correct. It's really easy, and you make it back to your car 100% of the time, unless, of course, you fall off a cliff. And that is not possible if you follow your trail on the way there, unless you fell on the cliff on the way there, and then you'll repeat that on your way back. So you will use this trail to go back. Typically, it's yellow. I have it set up in the settings here where you can change the color of that, and mine's yellow. You can do anything. So I'll see my old purple one, and then I'll have a yellow track going on top of it that I'll follow all the way back to my car. I love this. It's free. You just make sure when you go into your settings and you go to recording, you're not going to see it here. Oh, you are. Okay, so tracking mode, there's GPS, 100 meter, 1 kilometer, or 3 kilometer. I just use GPS every time. The accuracy threshold, I like adaptive. It just adapts to whatever. I don't really understand those other settings, and adaptive has worked for me. Time interval, though, I do change that. You can save your phone battery by having the interval of checking back up with the GPS to be, 30 seconds, 15 seconds. And then when you see that update, you go, oh, I'm a little off course. But I like 1 second. It states it here. Here you can specify the minimal time interval for 2 consecutive track points. This setting has no influence on the battery. Oh, yeah, that's hilarious. It says specifically that it has no influence on the battery usage of my tracks, which means that it is going to constantly be checking the GPS anyway, which is good news for me. I thought maybe someone might benefit if they changed that, but you know what? It doesn't change anything for your battery. Thank goodness, because I prefer the shortest time interval, 1 second. This is because you're walking. If I was driving on a very long trail, checking every minute would be fine, because it's basically point drawn, waits for a minute, draws a point wherever you are, and then just draws a linear connection between those two dots. And that, vector between the two dots gets drawn up. As you're walking, you'll see how it kind of places a new one, and if you did a quick circle, it wouldn't notice that circle. But if you took a 5 to 20 second circle jaunt, you will see that circle happen. In fact, when I go to locations that I'm new at and I'm exploring in the daytime, you'll typically see something like this. Where's my Goblin Valley? Goblin Valley with Kathy. So this is a trail that I did in Goblin Valley with Kathy. And if I was to come back here, where would I want to go? I could see instantly that we spent a lot of time right here and right there. So Kathy and I would go back to that location to find the spots that we liked. We spent some serious time right here. At 1 second intervals, it starts drawing a bunch of squiggly lines where I'm wandering back and forth, back and forth. And then as I go here, I just changed its altitude. Over here, there's another spot that we spent a lot of time at right here. And so those are the 3 hot spots that we spent on this hike or wandering around Goblin Valley. And when I go back, I'll just beeline it to each one of these hot spots and go right to those cool compositions that we found that one night on April 20th, 2021. So I love this app. Before my timer goes off, I'm going to hit this and expand where you can see the information. And you can see, elevation changes that we went through. We went down, hiked around the valley, up and down, and then hiked back up to the parking lot. And then there's also, we can see the information of how fast we went throughout the hike, if say that's important to you. I've never used that information, but what it is good to see is that it was a total of 2.47, and the time amount was from there to there. If I'm doing a simple hike like the Delicate Arch, it's interesting to see how long it took me to get there and the elevation incline. I can see specifically that, all right, someone who wants to come hike with me, and they're like, you know what, I've never been to Mesa Arch. Is Mesa Arch a long hike? No, I say it's not. And let me show you an example. Right here where you can see the incline, I start off at about this, go up to here at the highest point of 6,112 and lowest point at 6,190 over by the arch. So we start here, go up, and then down to the arch location. And that was a total difference of 809 feet. So there's really just an incline increase of 809 feet at most. This is not a steep, difficult hike. And how long did it take me? Well, it was 5:49 to 6:17, and I took my time because it was only 1,700 feet. So very easy hike. How are we doing on time? Did my clock not start? Because it seems like it didn't. Uh-oh. Praveen and Thomas, I think you guys got your bets right because I did not start the clock or something there. So let's get into the last two. And the last two are some that I'm going to go quickly through because you know them. I've talked about them. In fact, this first one that I'm going to feature is the one that I, muddled through last week as I bumbled my way into that setting where we were showing you how to use the markers. Well, we're going to bring in Steve Segnotti, and I haven't told Steve this yet, but I told Kirk. We're going to bring in Kirk and Steve, and we're going to record some of their favorite features that are in this app of Planit. I'm going to have their help to teach some elements of it, and so we can go deeper into Planit. So we will have an entire Milky Way Wednesday dedicated to the Planit app so that you can learn some more features with this app. But what I will point out simply is that when I use this app, I'm typically in Oregon. So just like in PhotoPills in the planner, instead of going into planner, it's always in this page. Like this is the plan. This is the main page. You will see the map. So if I go up here, what we have marked here, is this off of Bandon, it looks like? Yeah, it's going to be off of Bandon. So I have one of my favorite locations in Bandon off of the Guardians of the Wizard, and I'm going to place my camera there, and that is the plus sign. And then you say set the scene location or the camera location. I'm going to set the camera location. If I wanted to, this is my scene. I want to feature this with the wizard, and the other ones are the Guardians of the Wizard. So I'm going to call this my scene location. So now it knows which direction to point my camera, and my focal length is set currently for 47.8. Well, what if I didn't see that information up here? And what are all these bubbles? With my finger, I can tap these bubbles, and they're changing what is here in the top half of this spot. And based on where my camera location is, it's telling me this is Coos County and the sunrise and sunset and the azimuth. If I use my thumb across this, it'll switch between. Oh, I missed and I hit the map a little bit. It'll switch between all of these bubbles and show me a bunch of information. I won't go through each one of them, but one that I particularly like, especially in Oregon, are the tides. And eventually I'm going to get to the tide information here. And I am in the blues, and now the tide's coming. Here it is. So it's giving me Puerto Penasco tide. What information do I want? That's 1,000 miles away. So that's not a good tide table. So I will click on that and say, let's do one right here by Coos Bay and do Charleston. So Charleston and Coos Bay area is close to where I am in Bandon, and I can see that my low tide on what day? January 21st, 2022, and that is going to be low tide at 7:59 and high tide at 2:39 a.m., which is really good that it's high tide before the Milky Way comes out and starts lowering itself and gets almost perfect by sunrise. And having all of these waves crashing further out here instead of up at our ankles allows us to capture the Guardian of the Wizard. But it's nice when there's water right here to get some lapping water causing a reflection of stars right in front of the wizard. It can be a terrific shot. And so we have benefited from the tide lapping up some waves onto this water, onto the sand, keeping that sand a little wet and reflective, and we love it. And we usually stand about an ankle deep water as we're out here. sometimes knee high. If you're Kirk and you're wearing your NRS boundary socks, you do it. Kathy will go out there in her jeans and her shoes and just let her bottom of her shoes get wet. It's really not that challenging. Sometimes you get wet, sometimes you don't. I think Kathy has gotten a couple rogue waves that have ankle bit her, and she was pretty much soaked to her knees both times. But, you know, you dry eventually. So I use the tide information on here. I cannot get the tide information over on PhotoPills, so I love that feature. And then I love this focal length feature. Right here, this section, what is in this information? I can change this. Right now it's focal length. I can change the center month. Let's see, if I scroll down, that's what it was. Once I hit this arrow caret right there, I can change this to coordinate and elevation. I can change it to distance and view. And I like to keep it on focal length, because that's cool to see with my camera what it's keeping in the frame based on that. And if I tap the 47.8, I can say this is a 24 millimeter. I'm going to get this guardian and part of this rock if I look at that angle, and I can change and specify my angle from sitting on the couch at home, planning what I'm going to do when I get out there. And that's one of the strengths of Planit, where you do have this information in PhotoPills. It shows up in an AR mode, and I'll show you that as a comparison here, but it doesn't give you it quite like this on the planner, and this is great. I love that. Well done, Wenjay. And oh, my time is up on Planit. We'll be back for more Planit next week. We'll be doing that with Kirk. Let me go ahead and say done. Kirk and Steve. And Steve and Kirk, just so you know, you're not going to be live. I'm going to record you in advance and then share your segments individually, you know, as I go through myself being live. So we're going into PhotoPills, the final one. The one that took me 15 minutes to end. All these final graphics down here below so you can see which app I'm on. This is PhotoPills. You've got options. You have, like I said, that field of view option, where I'm going to do 15 millimeter. Now I'm going to go ahead and change this to 24. Let me X that and then do 24. Okay, done. Now at 24, it says this. What is 2 foot and 4 inches? Well, that's telling me my subject distance. Well, I'm going to be about 25 feet away from this subject. Let's just say 25 feet flat. And now I'm going to say I'm going to go landscape, and I just tap this icon here and it shows me some information, and simply put, it says your frame is going to cover this many inches and this many tall inches, and that information is accurate, but it's hard to really enjoy what that information is. It's like I'm not getting it in my head where I'm like, oh yeah, that is 45 inches, which is where the AR comes into play. So I'm going to use this area of my wall inside this room. I'm going to hit AR down below. Now that I've chosen those settings, it's actually going to give me a square box. Oh, I have that stupid yellow thing there. That's not cool. But you can see how now I can look through the camera on this and see that, hey, you know what? My frame goes over there, and there's that rock I wanted, and then over here's that tree I wanted. So everything is in this field of view, and that's cool. I like that, and that's a good feature, and that's one that might be what Chris was trying to get me to hit. Click the down arrow above the bubbles to see the pages. So he's telling me to see the page options there. I think I saw that at one point, but there might have been some other pages that Chris wanted me to. Remember that topic, Chris, when we come into next week? And Steve's like, news to me, but sure, he's on board to join. Steve's really good at Planit along with Kirk, so that's why I volunteered him, and I'm glad that you have time, Steve, to make that you can join me. Awesome. Sweet seat warmers on the way home, Kathy says. And Kirk just went, NRS boundary socks will save you in Oregon. That is for sure. And so Frederick says, how do you share your iPhone screen on the computer? On my iMac, it was easier, but on this PC, I use Reflector version 4. It's a very simple app. Let me show you right here. Right there is Reflector 4. And that's connected right now. Since the phone's on the same Wi-Fi as this computer, I can see it easily. Now, PhotoPills, I've explained it many times, but these cool little extra features like depth of field, I'm going to declare my depth of field to be a 24 millimeter lens, and I'm going to shoot it at f1.4 on my Rokinon. So where is my depth of field? It shows me that my subject distance, say it's 1,000 feet away. My near focus is 80 feet in front of me. What if I change the subject distance? Change it to just 100 feet away. It's still the same thing. Well, not really. It says that the near focus from that subject will be 46 feet and 7 inches. Well, what if I want to find out if it's going to be in focus? I'm going to change this field of view back to 24 millimeter with no teleconverter. Let's change that to 0. So now it says this, and I'm seeing on the EOS RA. Now let's go to my Canon 5D Mark IV, and this is the truth for my camera body and the hyperfocal distance. Well, what if I want to find out if something's in focus? Go to the AR down at the bottom, go AR mode, and it'll show me those are the areas that you can get in focus. You have a hyperfocal, like there's the subject distance, and that's the red line. That's 100 feet out from me. Here is my near focal distance. Here's my hyperfocal distance, and then here's my far at infinity. So you can see how my stars are at infinity mode, but this tree, if it's before that marker, you know, inside this gray bubble, then it's telling me, hey, you know what? It's probably going to need to be focus stacked. And so this is like a quick way to see, am I going to get that tree in focus? Imagine this like bottom frame of this whole picture was my tree. It's in the focal distance that's going to work out. If it was, say, here, then I need to do a focus stack to bring that into focus. So it's a quick way of using PhotoPills to use some of those functionalities. Now, as I told you, this is for my Milky Way, so I am spending most of my time in the Moon pill and the Planit pill. And you can see a longer video that explains this process. I have one of them, and I have multiple times over the live streams talked about this. But basically, at Goblin Valley on February 23rd, my moon rises 12:54 a.m. and then sets at 10:57 a.m. So it's looking like, okay, it rose in the night and then set early, and so that I don't see it again until sunset. So what happens tomorrow morning before my Milky Way rises? My Milky Way rises at 3:32, but my moon rises at 2:07. So I have an hour here. What about the next day? The moon rises later. The next day, the moon rises even later. And now it rises after the Milky Way has shown up. I have an hour with the Milky Way visible, the core visible, before that moon gets in my way. And on the Planit pill, you've seen all of this. This is where you can tell, all right, my Milky Way right now is a sliver of time on January 20th. The gray, lighter gray line is saying, hey, Milky Way core is visible, and this is when astral twilight begins there. What if I change this to a different month? I'm going to move this module up top here to this graphic, because if I tap that once, that's a button, and it changes it a month out. So January 31st, now February, the next new moon is on March 2nd. And so it's jumping from new moon to new moon. And if I double tap, it goes backwards. So the new moon in January 2nd, the next new moon is January 31st, and the next new moon is March 2nd. There is no new moon technically this year during February. And so you can see how March 2nd, this gap between when the Milky Way core is visible to when astral twilight ruins it is much larger. And further in the year, it gets wider and wider. And then towards the middle of the year, it kind of evens out and starts getting smaller again towards the fall. And there it goes. You can see how that pie is changing. That's one feature in Planner that you probably may have not thought of, and that is what those gray lines are. And if you can't see those gray lines, that's because you have this button turned off. And you'll see the concentric circles, and you'll see the Milky Way dots that move throughout the sky as it goes through the night, and you will also see those gray lines giving that pie slice. So how am I doing on time? Oh, I never started it. Let's end it right there. Let's end it right there, holding out my apps. And so the questions that have come through, put them in all caps if you have them before we end it. It is 8:24 right now. I'm much later than I planned on being because I started late, so I'm going to go through this. Like I said, I will trim the beginning of this video when you come back to watch it on replay. You can see it. I'm going to scroll up to some of the recommendations that people were giving me earlier, like Meteo Blue. Let's go into the App Store and let's search for Meteo Blue. Meteo Blue. That is an app I had not heard of, and let's check it out. This is Meteo Blue Weather and Maps. Let's open that. Oh, wait, I actually have it. What? Where do I have this app? Meteo blue. Wait, I spelled it wrong. Meteo. Yep, it's under my sailing app. Meteo blue. I have a sailing folder when I go sailing with my buddy, and Meteo blue. I've already got it. All right, continue. I've actually used it before, and I totally forgot the name of it. That's kind of crazy. So this is going to show the predictions and include some of the wind for me, especially important for sailing, as well as whether it's going to be clear. And let's check out what this menu is going to give me, meteograms. So meteogram 5 days, that's interesting. How do I read this? 14-day weather. That's a nice little summary of all the next 14 days. We had a lot of snow today, but Wednesday, it doesn't even show. Oh, this is Fort Klamath. Let me change my location to where I'm at. I'm going to hit that top right button. Now I'm in Provo, and this information is going to update. Yeah, Wednesday it did snow, but not snowing tomorrow, but it snows Friday, and it's not going to snow again until a couple weeks from now in March. Dang, we need more snow. This is the worst. So here we go, Meteo Blue. Interesting. What else do people recommend? Meteo Blue was my #1, but I've started using Windy, Steve says. And other people recommending what they were doing, Planit Pro, Field of View Planet. Oh, Steve's just mentioning parts of Planet. Yeah, okay, awesome. Supposed to do PhotoPills Sun Surveyor. Let's do Sun Surveyor from Jerry. I'm going to check that out. Let's see if it's for the iPhone, which, is almost unfair of me to say because it most likely is. Sun Surveyor. All right, Sun Surveyor Lite, Sun Surveyor Sun and Moon. It's a $9 app. I won't buy it right now, but you can see how it's going to give me information that I can see in PhotoPills, but maybe a little cleaner, little interesting way of doing it, or very specific. Oh, that's interesting. I like how they do the Milky Way with the balls right visually right there, and you can see how the core is going to be above your horizon. That's not the worst. That's cool. It's got a lot of good reviews, and this guy's just a jerk, rubbing in the fact that he's out there. I want to go there. Oh, man, Jordan is not a place I've ever been. Interesting menu options and interesting graphics. It's very PhotoPills-esque, and PhotoPills is very TPE-esque, and everyone is using similar methodology, and I like it. I think I could like that, Jerry. That's awesome. And I got a question from Doug. What is the best time of year to get the Milky Way's arc? So you're talking about a full panorama. And let's use PhotoPills for that because we'll do a lot of Planet next week. But let's talk about a place that I love my Milky Way arch. In fact, like if I go into my photos and go to my favorites and go down to... I'm showing things I probably shouldn't because you have access to this in slow motion. All right, this location. This, you're not seeing it the way I want. You can't even see it. Oh, it moved. It moved my app. All right, this is what I'm trying to show you, but you can't see it because it went landscape mode. But this app right here, that Milky Way, that's a March Milky Way. So to answer Doug's, let's talk about that panorama and what's great about it. Let's get out of my photos and make sure that this app shows up where I want it. And right here is good. And let's go into PhotoPills. So now in PhotoPills, showing off this feature, I'm going to go to that location. Let's see if I have it saved as a location. Let's do a load and a point of interest. And do I have the Canyonlands cliff edge? Looks like I don't have an obvious island in the sky. Is it saved as that? No, it's not saved already. So let's go ahead and find that location and create a point of interest, and I'll show you that feature. So I'm going to go over to Canyonlands, and I'm going to pass the potash, and I'm going to look over here. Where are you? This. All right. My cat's trying to break into his food. Stop it, Tenzin. Bump. Oh, I need to pull out a little further so that I can see here. What am I looking at? Let's go further south. Yeah, Dead Horse Point, Mesa Arch, continue on Canyonlands, Island in the Sky, Grand View Point Overlook. Let's go to the parking space back here and Grand View Point. Okay, so if you were to park right here at Grand View Point, you would start down the trail, but what you would do is you'd take off and stand on this cliff edge right here. This is where I was. at that exact point. So I'm going to put this pin down next to that little open gray area, because you can see that gray area is most likely the water. That was the puddle right next to me. And I am going to want to see the visibility of the Milky Way. Let's go during the night. And I want to see when the Milky Way starts doing something great. This is showing October 26, 2022. Let me double tap the clock in the center and go to now. And let's go forward in time. So this is a February time, and you can see when the Milky Way rises right here. Let's go ahead and hold that down again and get that to zoom out. Okay, so I can move this faster. So what we have is the moon in our way, but also a very short sliver of time. So February has a chance for panorama, Doug, but it's not quite where you want it to be. So then let's go forward 1 month, and now we're looking at the panorama between here and here. That's a much longer time, a much more open time. And what I'm liking is this. Notice how this line is now directly north and directly south. This is like perfect. It's ideal. Basically looking directly east and west on this location, I've got a Milky Way band going here, going up, and going over. When it gets to a certain height, see this direction, this degree that the core is facing? When it gets to a certain height in the sky, watch this rotate. It becomes hard to do a panorama, and you don't want to be too high. At this time of year, it gets too bright. So let's go to the following month, April. And now you've got a good panorama that gets as high in the sky as that, and it's still dark by 5:20, and it started as early as 2 a.m. The next month of May, it starts even earlier at 12:16, and then goes all the way beyond that point. And really from there, it's still a bit of a panorama, but it's kind of high. You probably won't capture it there. Notice these bubbles here for the middle of the core, or middle of the band of the Milky Way. They're better when they're lower in the sky like that. What I love about my image is that it's lower to the horizon than some of my other panels that put it higher and give me a lot of negative space in between that arch. And so here's the answer for you, Doug. The best times are, everyone's even saying it, like Steve's already saying it. Basically, it is April, I would say March included, March all the way through June. Those are our Northern Hemisphere panorama months. And the best month is May and June. I like June because it's already up, but May doesn't lose any of that time that you're losing in June. By June, it's already up to a certain point. In May, you watch it get up to that point. So it allows you to have some more time with that panorama. In June, it's over in like 30 minutes to an hour. So I prefer May. May is my favorite panorama month with the most time, the best compromise, and the most opportunity, while it's fantastic in March. I love it in March, and I want to capture it early in May before it gets too high, and then you have a longer period of time to make some other ones work. So May's the best. March to May is terrific, and you have a harder time with clouds, and so May becomes the winner for weather as well. And then June is still terrific, but it's a much more truncated window of opportunity. Now, it is 8:30. I have gone on very long tonight. I appreciate all of you hanging out with me, and I am going to go back to just me. Thank you so much, and the chat. So thank you so much for joining me tonight on Milky Way Wednesday. We went through a ton of apps, and I appreciate your patience at the beginning of this video. You all were very awesome for letting me finish that and sharing with me your chats. Kirk says Planit has a panorama planning function that will actually tell you how many images you need for that specific lens, focal length, to get a full Milky Way pano. So that's another feature that Kirk will show and share with us next week when we talk about the Planit Photography app. As well as Steve says his favorite arch is best April through June. Milky Way arch, April through... he just replaced... it's not my arch, it's Milky Way arch. I see. That's what he was trying to say. Awesome. And so this is just a personal preference, Doug, on which month you're going to like the most, but you can get it between March and June, and I give you those reasons. Dave says, thanks, Aaron. You bet, man. You bet. And Just stoked to be out here for Milky Way again. I can't wait to start showing some new pictures this year, and I'll be sharing some narrative Milky Way Wednesdays where I share an adventure, how it went, what could have gone better, and show some images and post-process them together, and we'll make some of that fun with our Milky Way Wednesday. Kupua says awesome, and Kave says awesome. Thanks, Aaron, from Kathy. Thank all of you. I'm so stoked to have you guys hanging out with me Wednesday night. My throat is sore. I've been talking a lot. Good tip on apps from Steve. Thanks, Steve. I mean, you knew all of these, but I appreciate you saying that and helping those who are brand new to it. Again, I will trim the beginning of this video so it doesn't show that when you watch it in replay, but welcome into Milky Way Wednesday. If you haven't already subscribed, oh, you know what? I want to do this real quick. Let's just see what we can do with those of you 40 that are here. Maybe we can get there. Maybe we can get there. I'm going to pull something up. It's my live count. Yes. Okay, check this out. This is my live count of subscribers down here. I have 17,968. I only need another 32. Do the math right, Aaron. 32 to hit 18,000. And so before you go, if you want to say thank you for Milky Way Wednesday, hit that subscribe button. Love to see this get up there to 18,000 between this week and next week. Really appreciate all of you. Thank you for watching the show, and thank you for being a part of Milky Way Wednesday for so many years, many of you. Love all of you as friends. Faster from Peru, thank you, Aaron. You're welcome. Awesome. See you in Utah in April, Fred says. He's joining me in my workshop for the Nightscaper Conference. I hope you guys will come to the Nightscaper Conference. Join me there. If you do go to the Nightscaper Conference and you've just gotten your ticket now or you're going to get it soon, make sure that you go through and say, hey, Aaron King told me one person just subscribed. Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, if I was a Twitch channel, I'd have like some fanfare or some bluster or go off and be like, thank you for subscribing, whoever you were. But if you do sign up for Nightscaper, let them know that Aaron King sent you, and they will be proud that Aaron King did. Do it, guys, says Kapua. Hey, was it you, Kapua, who did it? 970. Yes, Eric Reese. Thanks, Aaron. You bet. Welcome in, and welcome back again. Thomas, thanks again. You're all awesome. Everyone here is awesome. Phil's awesome. Thank you, Phil. And Kirk, I'll be on here next week. Oh, I guess I'll be here on time next week. Right on. Thank you so much for letting me see 3 of you subscribe, 68, 69, and 70. Please keep coming and hitting those subscribe buttons if you haven't already. And let me get to 18,000. Let's get moving. I'm going to try and get these numbers up a lot more this year as I put some more content out. See you in June, July, Bob. I'm stoked that you'll be coming out here again. And if you haven't joined us for Mary Beth and I Aurora Adventure, we have 5 slots available. It's going to be a very fun 7 nights of deep sky, Milky Way, landscape, and aurora chasing. It is going to be one of the more fun workshops of all year long. And you've got 2 instructors, and you get to learn from Mary Beth Kaczynski how to do her star tracker and her post-processing, so it's very worth it to join me for that one. Kapua says I'm already a subscriber, so he doesn't need to be clicking it. That's right. Well, thank you, Kapua, for already being a subscriber. So thank you all. I will get my voice relaxed and take a break and get some food in me and say goodnight to all of you. Thank you so much for hanging out. I'm Aaron King with Photog Adventures. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, hit me up. MilkyWayWednesday@gmail.com. Send me an email. Say, hey, Aaron, here's a question I want you to tackle. Tackle this for me. Help me with this. Help me with that. Give me some ideas of what you would like to learn on Milky Way Wednesday. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you so much, and see you later.